Welcome to the Grotto,
The Board Game Grotto.
a Little Big Thumb series focused on the big thumbs of board gaming.
That's right, my name is JP, this is Milo, and today we've got some cool stuff to talk to you about. Now, in our last episode of Board Game Grotto, it was your pick for the topic, our listy list that we're going to cover in this episode. Can you just give us a quick reminder of what we're talking about and why we're talking about it?
Absolutely. So the topic we're going to talk about today is emergency bag games. So if you've got to head out the door really quick in some sort of emergency, maybe a fire perhaps, that's what's been happening. Well, it was happening here. Lately we've actually been having some floods. So the emergency bag topic is definitely still relevant.
That's right. And so the idea there is we're each picking 5 games to pack into our emergency bag game to get out the door. And I don't know. There's so many games behind me, and I know you got a whole bunch of games at home. I don't know. Picking 5 games, tricky. Tricky listy list.
Yes, my favorite lists are the trickiest ones.
Excellent. And before we start that list, though, we have 2 other things that we're going to be covering in this episode. The whole reason we started Board Game Grotto all those months ago was to take on a board game challenge, the 10 by 10 board game challenge with organizations that we're financially supporting, depending on how many games we finish playing 10 times each.
We've got the Spiel Foundation and the Youth Project. So yeah, we're going to give you a little update on how our 11 by 10 challenge is doing.
11 by 10. That's why I always forget that there's 11 games. Maybe that's why it's hard. Anyways, and at the very end of this video, we're going to pick our next topic. And this time around, it's my pick. And you don't know what I've got up my sleeve. And I kind of like it that way. I like a little bit of mystery.
I'm excited. I have no idea what you're going to choose.
All right. Well, why don't we throw up one of those little transition-y bits, and then we'll be right back with our emergency board game bag list. Let's do it. Okay, so it's listy list time, and as is tradition, I think we need to determine who's going to go first with a good old game of rock, paper, scissors. You ready?
Absolutely.
All right.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, it's me this time. My first game in our listy list today that I'm going to stuff into my emergency bag is Junk Art. Junk Art was... we were just talking about Junk Art, weren't we? Junk Art is published by Pretzel Games. I think maybe Plan B Games took the game over. It's designed by Jay Cormier and Sen Fung Lim, 2 fantastic Canadian designers. Yes, Canadians. This is maybe my very favorite Dexterity game. And this is like a world tour of Dexterity challenges. It comes with all sorts of different shapes and colors of pieces. And folks are going to be usually stacking things, trying to keep their creations going longer than everybody else. Anyways, Junk Art is one of the most fun and fabulous games around. And of course, I gotta have a Dexterity game in my emergency bag, and my Dexterity game of choice this time around is going to be Junk Art.
That's a great game. I'm so glad that you picked it.
Yay!
Yeah, it was one of the first Dexterity games that I ever played. So
really?
Yeah, it's a great one.
Awesome. We should play it again soon.
And my first game that I'm throwing into my emergency bag is Deep Sea Adventure.
Ooh.
So Deep Sea Adventure is a tiny little box game by Oink Games. Now, Oink Games does a lot of small box games. It's kind of their thing. And it is designed by Jun and Goro Sasaki. In Deep Sea Adventure, you are scuba divers diving from a submarine into the depths of the ocean, trying to collect the most valuable treasure and make it back up to the surface before your oxygen tank runs out. Now, you are sharing one oxygen tank between all of the players, so there's kind of like a ticking clock. You want to pay attention to what other people are doing, how far they're going down, but it's a press your luck game and it's a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. Deep Sea Adventure. I think maybe I played that game once, maybe a decade ago, and I don't think I've ever played the game with you, and I need more Oink games in my life. So please, let's play some Deep Sea Adventure while we are playing our emergency bag games.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the second game in my emergency bag game is I'm going to go back in history. This game, you can't even say it really has a publisher. I couldn't name its designer because the second game that I'm packing into my bag is Cribbage, the classic game of cribbage. Cribbage is, if you're not familiar, it's played with a standard deck of cards as well as a wooden board with pegs. It's all about scoring 121 points by playing cards and trying to hold back cards in your hand. I've got a number of different crib boards with me, and I've actually got a giant one with me. That I'm going to try to pull up here right now. I don't even know if I can bring it up. Look at this thing. This thing is ginormous. This is my non-emergency crib board. How do I get this back down there now? I've played crib hundreds, if not thousands of times, and it's so fun. But I tell you, as far as an emergency bag goes, it not only does it give me one of my absolute all-time favorite classic games, it also gives me a deck of cards. And that means that I can play a million other games out of my emergency bag. I gotta have some versatility. Who knows how long I'm gonna have to play only these 5 games. So gotta kind of cheat the system a little bit.
I love cribbage. I was only introduced to it like a couple of years ago. Well, not introduced. I've known what it was for my entire life, basically. But I only played it for the first time a couple of years ago, and honestly, I haven't played enough. I would like to play more. And also, depending on the emergency, I don't know, in a flood, maybe you could use your board as a raft.
I wouldn't want to ruin my giant cribbage board. I guess it would be ruined if my house was on fire.
My second game number 2, that I will throw into this bag in an emergency, is my massive collection of Root.
Oh, okay. All
It
right.
is condensed into only 2 boxes, so I think that it still counts. Root is published by Leader Games, designed by Cole Werrell, and with amazing art by Kyle Farron. I love Root. It's one of my all-time favorite games, and I would like to bring it with me for a couple of different reasons. So I'll tell you in just one second here. Root is about woodland creatures. It is a war game. It's very cutesy but very aggressive. It's an asymmetric game, and it's a lot of fun. I can never get enough of Root, and the reason I would like to bring it with me is it's very valuable. I've spent a lot of time and money collecting all of the different expansions, but also I can play this game by myself. It's not necessarily a game I need with other people, and who knows, in an emergency situation, I might get separated from my group of people, and I still want to play games, so this is a game that I will play by myself. I will use those expansions and just play against the automatons, if you will.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you, if I had written your emergency bag list, I think probably the first game I would have put on it was Root. So I'm not at all surprised that that's on your list. I think the dichotomy between your little tiny box and this giant stack of heavy cardboard and wood all stuck together is a nice contrast.
The juxtaposition.
The juxtaposition of Root and Deep Sea Adventure. Love it. So for my third game, so I started with junk art, so I've got some dexterity goodness, and then I moved on to cribbage, so I've got some classic card game goodness. What I don't have though is some good old fashioned dice rolling battle things going on, and so my third game is going to be Nexus Ops. Nexus Ops is an old dudes on a map kind of game with space aliens run by corporations smashing into each other to see who's going to control the valuable resources of the strange planet that we're on. When I first got into board gaming, Nexus Ops was the game that everyone declared as being a risk killer. So a game that would say you're never going to play Risk again once you play Nexus Ops. And now there are so many games that sort of fill that niche as a game that you can jump off to getting into this hobby from playing Risk. But Nexus Ops is one that's close to my heart. The version that I have is the one published by Avalon Hill. So it's got these kind of like see-through color, like almost like day glow creatures that you're battling with. I don't know if you've ever played this game, but it is a marvel of dice rolling, nastiness, just so much fun. It's very important to me, this game. So that's why it's going in my emergency bag.
Okay, I love that. I've heard
Yeah.
of this game, but I didn't know anything about it. So thank you for sharing, and I would definitely like to try it sometime.
Yes, next is Ops. Yeah.
All right, so the third game that I've chosen, much like you have to bring a dexterity game with you everywhere, I have to bring a cooperative game with me everywhere. So, this game that I've chosen to throw in my emergency bag is Stuffed Fables.
Ooh.
So, Stuffed Fables is a cooperative game, like I mentioned, where you and your friends will play stuffed animals, protecting this little girl from the nightmare king known as Crepitus, who lives under her bed, essentially. There are several different scenarios that you can play through, and it's got all sorts of different mechanics. It is published by Plaid Hat Games, and it is designed by Jerry Hawthorne. So, I love Stuffed Fables. It was one of the crunchier cooperative games that I ever first played. And this one is near and dear to my heart because I have painted many of the miniatures in this game. So that's one reason why I would like to bring it with me. Also, the fact that it's cooperative, and in an emergency situation, you know, depending on what's going on, I think that it would be a really good game to play and sort of like escape into. There's like a little bit of role playing, and it's very cute. It's got like this childhood theme to it, but it's not a game for kids. It's like very complicated, well, for kids. But yeah, it would fit well in this emergency bag that I'm creating.
That's awesome. That's awesome. This is a game that I've never played. I actually had a loaner copy. It's just sitting like right there for the longest time that I just gave back to its owner a few weeks ago. But oh my gosh, Stuffed Fables sounds so cool, looks so cool. Plaid Hat Games always does cool stuff, and so that's a great pick. I would love. It's great to have a game handy that at least one of us has never played before. Got to do some learning while you are out there surviving the wilderness. So we are on to game number 4 now. In my fourth game, I'm going to go smaller. You went Deep Sea Adventure early on. I'm going to go small with Sushi Go. Sushi Go, published by Gamewright, designed by Phil Walker Harding. This is a card drafting game. It can have sort of a party game feel to it. It's accessible for kids. I assume that my kids are going to be with me when I run out the door with my emergency bag of games. So I need something that's going to be accessible for them, but also fun for me. And that's why Sushi Go is going to be a great fit for that. Also, Sushi Go is a really special game for me personally because when my first daughter, Harriet, was being born, in the hours before she arrived, we were actually playing Sushi Go with our midwife in the hospital. And yeah, Sushi Go, another game that's really important to me, but also really fun and awesome. Love Sushi Go.
I love that. So it's funny that you chose Sushi Go because I chose Go Nuts for Donuts as my fourth game, also published by Gamewright. So I'm choosing it for similar reasons. It is like a party game. It's good to have like a variety in this bag of games that we're creating, and I don't have any children, but you know, I like kids games. Maybe there will be some kids around, and it's really cute and fun, and I love donuts. They're probably my favorite dessert. But in Go Nuts for Donuts, you're drafting, much like Sushi Go, and yeah, so I think it's funny that we both chose Gamewright drafting card games.
Yeah, Go Nuts for Donuts is so much fun, and that would be a game that you could just play over and over and over again. I feel like I've maybe played Go Nuts for Donuts like 50 times in the last year or two.
I've definitely played it a lot. My cards are like starting to wear out. I think I might have to sleeve them soon.
You are going nuts for those donut cards.
I certainly am.
That was bad. So we're on to our final game of the list, and my final game, my fifth game, going into the emergency bag. You said you need a cooperative game in your bag. I also need one in mine. And the cooperative game going in my bag, which I've talked about before, is The Loop. The Loop is published by Pandasaurus Games, designed by Maxime Rambourg and Theo Riviere. This design duo, love these two together in this particular game. The Loop is a cooperative game where you're traveling through time, trying to save the world from the evil doctor that is trying to just throw all of his mad minions at all of us. And it is just so much fun. It's got this cube tower in the bottom that randomly distributes where the bad stuff is happening. And so much variety in the game. You can play it solo. That's another reason that it's on there. So that it's a game that I can play on my own, but also can play with up to, what is it, like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 players. The Loop is just marvelous. I've talked about it before. One of my favorite games from last year, and it's going to be one of my all-time favorite games next time I make a big list like that.
I only played it the once, but it was a lot of fun. I love time travel themed games. I love cooperative games. Why aren't we playing more of The Loop?
Why aren't we playing more of The Loop? Why aren't we playing more of The Loop?
Cut the video right now. Let's play it. My final game that I am throwing into my emergency bag is none other than Innovation. So Innovation is published by Asmati Games, and it is designed by Carl Chuddick. Innovation is a wildly fun card game that is just like so unpredictable, and that's one of the reasons why I love playing it. I will never get tired of playing it. Honestly, I don't know that I've even figured out a strategy at this point. I've played it like dozens and dozens of times. It's a lot of fun, and it's deceivingly, tricky. It's good.
Awesome. I played Innovation, I think maybe once. It was introduced to me by our fellow maritime game design friend Sam Fraser, and I just remember my brain kind of melting, trying to figure out how to make my engine run, and I didn't. And Sam crushed me when we played the game. But that's a cool pick. Great to have a good, crunchy, compact game like Innovation in the bag. Great job.
Sam introduced it to me as well.
No.
He sure did.
Good job, Sam. So that brings us to the end of our emergency bag list, which means it's the time to ask all of you watching along, do you have any games that would be your first pick to throw into that emergency bag when you're running out the door? If there's a game on our lists that maybe you want to know more about, or you didn't expect to see, or you have any strong opinions about, well, why didn't you leave that one to drown in the flood? Well, let us know in the comments of this video. And now we're going to go do our update on our 10 by 10 or 11 by 10 challenge. But first, we gotta get that diddly going and have a little bit of a transitiony. That was also bad.
Okay, so for those of you who have been following along with us this year, we are doing this 11 by 10 challenge, and now we're just going to give you a little update on how we're doing, sort of an accountability check-in, if you will. If you're new to our channel, welcome. We'll put a little link in the description below so you can see how our charity donations are calculated. But yeah, let's get that update.
Awesome. All right, why don't we just go alphabetically this time? I'll shout out a game name, and you tell me how many times you played it, and then maybe we'll do like a fist bump or a high five whenever one of us has hit the magical number 10 plays.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool. Let's start with Ahoy.
6.
All right, I got 4 plays of Ahoy. Next up is Astronauts.
9.
Oh, 9. I got 6 plays of that one. After that is Campy Creatures.
9 again.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me. I got 4 plays of Campy Creatures. Food Fighters is next.
6.
6. Okay, I got 4 for Food Fighters. And then Ghost Stories.
4.
3. We got to work on that one, don't we? Next up is Kites.
10.
10! After Kites, we have On Tour.
1.
1, okay. Well, I'm countering that. I got 10 plays of On Tour. Finished. Gonna give me a fist bump. Yeah. All right, next up is Rolling Realms.
That one I have 6 of.
Okay, I got 4 on that one. Touring Machine.
10.
Boom.
Bam.
I got 8 done on Touring Machine. Unmatched.
7.
Also 7. And Word Heist is the last one.
6.
6 plays each. All right. So we are, if we keep the pedal to the metal, we are probably on track to finish this challenge. I tell you, I've actually never finished a 10 by 10 challenge before, let alone an 11 by 10 challenge. And we've got a duty to uphold to make sure that our friends at the Youth Project and the Spiel Foundation get as much of our money as they possibly can. So if you want to cheer us on in the comments of this video, make sure you do that. Drop us, cheer us on. Let us know which game you think we should or will finish playing 10 times each next. Yeah. All right. So that brings us to our final little chapter bit goodness. And that is our next topic for the Board Game Grotto. And based on how we've gone so far with these videos, we're probably going to be back. This is, what month are we in? We're in August right now. So next time we do this, more than likely it's going to be October. So I know you think you know where I'm going, but you might be wrong.
Okay.
I'm not picking Halloween games. I'm going to go a little bit broader and say fall games. So autumn-themed games, which encompasses Halloween. So if you want to throw a Halloween game on your list of 5 autumn-themed games, please do so. But it also is going to give us a chance to do some leafy business, because those games with colorful leaves and maybe critters, those games maybe sometimes don't get as much love in October as the Halloweeny games. So what do you say?
I love that. That is a great list to come up with. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us to the end of this episode of Board Game Grotto. So, what do we say? What do we say at the end of these Board Game Grotto videos?
Whether you like short games
or long games
or games that are new,
come hang out with us.
The Grotto's got you.